In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Moon Tea Podcast. Today we have Heather MK. Mcnutt, can you repeat your last name, please?
Mcnutt-Kaestner, but MK is okay with me.
Ooh, and this is a moment in history because it's the first time that the three of us are recording, or Hugh and I are recording with our guest in person in my apartment. Technically, we've recorded before together, but not in my apartment. So this moment in history, Heather, don't forget.
Yeah, I'm honored.
Huzzah.
Cool. So I guess for some context, Heather, you've been here for about a month, or in New York, and Hugh just arrived earlier today. So you two go at it.
Yeah, well, now that I know everything about New York, I'll have to, clearly a local, I'll have to give you some advice. No, it's been super fun. I've been seeing quite a few Broadway shows through the lottery, trying my hand at some rush tickets. So I got to see 6 for like $35, super close to the stage.
6 Broadway shows?
No, actually the show called 6, although I've probably seen about 6 shows.
Shows how much I know. Oh no. Can we edit that? No. Start over.
He was an uncultured swine.
Yeah, oh no. Send me back to Arizona.
Yeah, so welcome to New York. I know you arrived and you rode through Central Park already.
It was glorious.
Cool.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I would write that every day. So cool.
Mm-hmm. All of our listeners are jealous because you got to bike through Central Park.
Yeah, be jealous, people. Be jealous. Central Park, that's the place to bike.
Not to brag, but I biked through Central Park with John before you, so...
Ooh.
This is
This is a common...
I don't know how I feel about this right now.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, what else you want to know about New York? I've been staying with friends in different areas, and kind of fun to see the nooks and crannies of the city, beyond just kind of the main touristy traps, which I reserve for Broadway.
Mm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because you just went to Broadway in the Park too?
Yeah, I went to Broadway in the Park, which is essentially where you get to see Broadway actors come and they'll perform a set or a few in the park for free. And what's kind of special about it, I think what people like about, or what I like about Broadway was, I did theater in the past, so you can understand where the imperfections are, and that's hard to find in Broadway. So when you have actors that are working with a totally different environment, different stage, and you've got a sound booth that's maybe less robust than, a Broadway stage that was, made entirely for that show, then it's a bit more organic and really focuses on the talent, which is fun.
That's so cool. And that wasn't at Central Park, though.
That was near Times Square, though, and we're all boiling in the sun today, but it was worth it.
Worth it?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no, it would be such a zoo if it was at Central Park, I think. But they do, Shakespeare in the Park and stuff, right? In Central Park?
I would agree with you, but you told me about Shakespeare in the Park, so...
Oh. I was confirming what I told you.
I can verify myself.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, clearly Heather has an interest in Broadway and musicals, and we went to one, I think, 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and yeah, I feel like you're doing your travels right, because you're just like, these are the things I'm interested in. I'm gonna go really deep into it. And
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah,
and John knows I'm interested in nature, and so I'm a Portlander. I'm only visiting New York for a little over a month, and so I'm like, New York, whatever. I love Broadway, but there's no real access to the outdoors. So John, do you want to tell the audience what your challenge was for me? To find as many...
to find green space?
Yeah. Show me all the green spaces.
Yeah, so I actually thought the same thing when I came to New York. I was like, it's a big concrete jungle, I'm gonna feel lost in, without nature, without access to hikes. But I personally don't feel that, but I also spend my weekends, biking to wherever, and I live, very close to Central Park. So my goal during Heather's time here was to show her all the parks and all the beautiful like outdoor places that, yes, it's very close to the city, but it's like you don't feel like you're in a busy like bustling city. Like when when we were biking around Central Park, I was like, is this enough green space for you? I was
like, yes.
But yeah, it's like a giant park, and yeah, I love biking around it. And Heather like the West Side bike path, which I think you went on part of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I wasn't sure the whole part that you suggested I should do, but I'm sure I'll catch the rest of it next week.
Yeah.
And then I'll be
but-
biking around Governor's Island too, probably tomorrow.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
more green space.
Okay.
That's what you do. You go to New York to find like trees, right? That's pretty normal. That's where I go deep in my interest. And I've seen 2 rats run in front of me, so I feel like a true New Yorker too. I
Nice.
feel like that's part of the experience.
Nice.
So that was great. I was like, wow.
Ratatouille is real.
Yeah, which restaurant is that? I need to
Follow
find
the rats.
All right, let's go down this list. So, we forgot to mention this blurb, but Heather is the coolest girl I know, and then mention her
Claimed
love.
by John, right? I
Mhm.
didn't suggest.
She has a love for theater, travel, and type 2 fun in the outdoors. Hugh and I were wondering what type 2 fun is.
Yeah, essentially type 2 fun is like the type of fun where you kind of kill yourself a little bit, or it's a little bit of a struggle. So it's kind of like you're climbing a mountain and you're suffering and you're in pain, and like maybe at one point you like break down, you're like, I can't do this. Like that's in maybe a more extreme version, but you know, and then you reach the top and the view is blissful and you realize the capacity of what your body can do.
Oh.
That's kind of type 2 fun.
Is there a type 3 fun?
Damn, maybe that's the people that do like you know those people that skydive but in those squirrel suits.
Oh yes.
It's like 1 in 10 of them will die or something crazy like that. Maybe that's type 3.
Wow.
I don't want to kill myself. I just want to suffer slightly.
What has been one recent example of type 2 fun?
Well, not recent, but how I discovered I like type 2 fun was I studied abroad in Ecuador, and I wasn't really into the outdoors that much yet, and the only pants I brought with me were jeans, and I hiked a mountain in jeans. We reached the top, and it was like snowy up there. Like we were clearly unfit to like, we shouldn't have been there. And we had some climbers like bring us back down because they were like, what are you doing up here? So that's maybe one example.
Those can get really dangerous.
Yeah, so learned the lesson there. And then was in Tetons, did 20 miles in a day, kind of on accident. And you know, messed up my knees a little bit for that. So type 2 fun doesn't always require sacrifice, but that's like a more, intense example.
We did go whitewater rafting.
True.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, I guess that would be type 2 as well. Yeah, that was fun.
That was really cool.
Yeah, was that your first time too, whitewater rafting?
I've gone in Yosemite.
Oh, okay. Nice. That was Leisha's first time.
Yeah, that was Leisha's first time.
Yeah, who's John's girlfriend. Yeah, one time I went whitewater rafting, and there were 5 groups of us, and they were like fairly high level rapids for beginners, and I was in the only all-girl group, and someone was like, oh man, like such a bummer, like we don't have any guys in this group, like we're kind of screwed, and we were the only raft that didn't flip. So
Yeah.
girls pulled through. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like. Yeah, I wish you like wanted to live in New York City for another year, and then you can like find those experiences around, because I do think they exist.
I would. Yeah. If I didn't have plans in September, I would definitely have no trouble staying here even longer.
If anyone is looking for a talent learning
yeah,
and
like
development.
talent management, learning and development, org effectiveness.
And wants to double Heather's salary.
Yeah, yeah. My Oregon salary will not do for New York for sure.
Cool. What else is on this list? Senior Learning and Leadership Development Specialist. So, for everyone's information, Heather got a promotion recently.
Ooh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And yeah, I don't know. We talked about your job the last time.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. So episode 21, everyone. I think.
Whoa.
I've watched that recently. Asterisk, probably.
This is gonna be in the upper 50s. Crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, look how far you've come. Isn't that amazing?
8 to 9 listeners.
Wow.
I actually had a few friends who listened to your episode.
Oh, cool.
I had a friend who was like, "Yeah, I really like that episode." So, Sam, if you're listening, shout out to you for listening.
We
What a good
appreciate
guy.
you, Sam.
All right, let's continue down this list.
I mean, I want to ask: is there anything different in the job now? Any what happens when you become a senior
Yeah.
learning and leadership development specialist? That sounds very
Yeah.
senior. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty rad. I mean, there's at Columbia Sportswear, there's not too many folks my age. So essentially what happened was when the pandemic hit, we've had to just adjust our priorities a few times. And so I went off to a certain initiative that HR needed to get done, and I was change managing for that for 10 months, which was totally outside of the scope of my role. And I think that helped me get promoted and to where I am now. It's kind of to bring me back on to the team I'm originally with. And I think there's like a lot of good in saying yes to a new challenge, and I think it kind of keeps things interesting too.
Cool. So, are you still? Is the concept? What's like the core, on average, goal of your job?
Yeah. Oh, like my actual job.
Yeah, like what's the goal of it now?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because I have a lot of different interests. So it's like, oh, I love public speaking, and I love like building and strategizing. I can't just be the person that delivers, and I love, thinking about the greater needs of a global business. And it's like, well, that's all kind of like different stuff, right? But that actually all fits into this role. So. We essentially, look into what are the pain points of the business, what are the areas for opportunity, whether it be leadership development or employee development, and then we, create a strategic framework, which means like a program or series of programs for that subset of employees to help them, improve the employee experience, retention, innovation. All of that connects back to what we call organizational effectiveness, or learning and leadership development can deliver on that.
Cool. So is this like in the HR department?
Yeah. It's like fun HR,
Fun HR. Yeah. Performance management or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Although we help the people that are doing performance management, we're still not even having to do that as much. So
interesting. So like performance management being what?
Well, there's another team called talent management, and so they do, they create how does your company how often does your company check in on your performance? What are your learning and development plans? What's your PIP? That kind of thing. There's another team for that, so we partner with them pretty closely
PIP
because
is performance improvement plan.
Yeah.
Hugh's never been close to it, so.
Never been close to a PIP. Good for you.
They just let me go.
They don't even try to improve his performance.
They kick him out.
Right.
He's not worth it.
We were waiting for the excuse. Yeah. So we care a lot about employee performance. But I think the thing that's always nice to be close to is like the sales, the products. So we're always fighting to kind of show how we can support that ROI for the business.
Really cool.
Yeah.
How do you even, is that like a thing you study? I forget. I don't know if we talked about that. Is it, how do you?
I don't think we talked about that.
I can give a TLDR. I know from our conversations.
Yes, please.
In college, Heather had a job at the career office, and she did a really good job of like helping people figure out the next steps of their career. And then that sort of led to like learning and development, and then you just kind of like develop from there. also Heather also does resumes on the side. She has a prolific Fiverr business, so yeah, she's like doing a lot of different things, has a lot of different skills. How did you get into it? I don't know if it's other than like that was the job that you got.
Yeah, that's
out of
pretty
college.
good. Yeah, first of all, if anybody listening knows how to write resumes, hit me up. I'm always looking to hire. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, I had a job in career development, and I liked some of the aspects of that. I was kind of a freshman coming into my college career development center saying like, hey, how do I get started? And they're like, I'm sorry, you're not a junior or senior panicking. What are you doing here, you know? So I liked the consultative approach of that. But really what happened was I studied communications and had 4 or 5 marketing and communication internships. So I really picked the company over the career. I knew I wanted to work for Columbia Sportswear. In Portland, there's a few big name companies, headquartered there, and Columbia's one of them. And the recruiter said, hey, actually, what do you think about this? And I said, I didn't know that was a career. Let's try that. So it ended up being something that was so great. I don't think I would ever go back to marketing, and certainly I do plenty of communications or promotional things in my work. I think whenever someone finds out you can write, then they will definitely make use of that. So but I think there's some more strategy behind what I do than if I was just kind of churning things out in a different type of role.
Sometimes I forget that Heather is 5 years younger than me, and there are times when I'm just like, dude, I wish I was half this wise 5 years ago.
I feel like you haven't forgotten at all this trip. I feel like every day I talk to John, he's like, when I was your age, and then Leisha's like, she's a baby, and I'm like, stop it. Yeah.
But
well, I hope to get to John's level one day too. So.
Yeah, my secret is having this cool lamp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the halo effect we got going on.
Can you talk a little bit about? I know there's a lot of uncertainty, but what kind of things are you interested in for the next few years? I know, obviously, it's hard to know exactly, but
Yeah.
but what are some things that you would prioritize?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think for one thing is that our priorities change, and I've done, we've all done informational interviews, and pretty much half the people you talk to are like, I don't really know how I ended up here, right? So I think that means moving forward with intention. And so for me, I had a big breakup happen a few months ago, and so that was a good opportunity for me to say, back then was, okay, let's reevaluate what my values are right now. And I think in general, the past 4 years have been career, and I will always be, career oriented to a degree because I love what I do, and that can bring me joy, to feel like I'm making movement in that direction. But another one that was pretty high on my list was adventure, travel, new experiences. And I had felt so dormant during the pandemic, and then I was waiting on, the boyfriend to, get PTO so that we could go somewhere, right? And so now is my time to say, I am only focusing on me. What are my priorities? What am I trying to do? So right as my work went, all right, let's get back to hybrid, I said, actually, how about I go remote, and I'll see you whenever I'm in town. And luckily they gave me some bandwidth to do that. And so I've been working remotely from different places, visiting friends, making new friends, and just trying to see new parts of the world. I think that, can really make you... It's good to remind yourself how small you are on this planet, let alone the universe. And I think traveling is pretty humbling, and also can be thrilling, and was the right move for me so far.
Hey, you got to hang out with us.
Heck yeah! Look at us here together in New York. Yeah.
Which actually is a good segue into the topic of travel. I know I know you're probably like into the idea of digital nomading, which is what you're doing.
Living it up right now.
And yeah, I mean, can you talk a little bit about how it has been? Have there been like surprising like cool things, and then have there been like any challenges along the way?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so I'm pretty early in my digital nomading journey right now. But I think this is the time when people find the most out. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I have friends that will go on a big journey, and like the things that go awry always happen like immediately, like right at the start of the trip. Like I have a friend who's van lifing all 50 states, and like immediately his tire blew out like before he even got to a second state. I have another friend that was also working remotely and digital nomading, and he like stubbed his toe and then couldn't hike for a few weeks, and I think for the most part it hasn't been too challenging, so that's good. I'm kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop at some point, but I think the main thing is just having the right mindset. So you've got to be ready to be outside of your normal routine. You've got to be ready to take on discomfort, and understanding that the reward is worth all of that. So I think my only complaints about travel so far is like maybe some nights I sleep better in my own bed, but for the most part I sleep pretty well here. I've got like the whole setup. I've got like a sleeping mask and like noise canceling headphones. I do the whole deal. So it's been pretty good so far.
Dude, that sounds awesome. Hugh, when are you doing it?
Wouldn't that be cool? I'm kind of curious, where have you like traveled so far and are wanting to travel to while you're on this journey?
Yeah, and I want to go to Arizona too, by the way.
Yo!
My sister's going to be there in February, and I want to win the lottery for the Wave hike.
Oh my
know
gosh,
if you know about
yes.
that. Yeah.
The Wave would be amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, super cool.
Yes.
So went to Colorado. I picked Boulder because it seems like a town I could actually see myself living in. And so that's right outside of Denver, but still you're like an hour away from Rocky Mountain National Park. You're close to like El Dorado Canyon and all of these other amazing spots. And that was super easy to live there. And the weirdest thing was one day in Colorado, it was 89 degrees, and then the next day we got several inches of snow. And I was like, what the heck? Like, what's going on here? And everyone was acting like it was totally normal. So, and I think the magic of travel is once I'm there, I get all these messages from people being like, oh, I'm actually living in Colorado. So, I didn't really think I'd be visiting anyone. And then, like, my days were super social and filled up with seeing old friends from high school and different times of my life. So, did that, road tripped through Yellowstone and Tetons back to Oregon, and then now flew out to New York. So, pretty early days.
Oh yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just to be open to where you want to go. Now, being in New York for a month and realizing I could have stayed here for months and months, then it's like good to know, okay, so maybe this doesn't need to be just a little month stint. You feel safe. You feel like you can do things a little longer. So
it's cool because the last time I saw Heather, I was nomading, and then now Heather is nomading.
Wow, so influential, John. So where all did you go? Do you want to tell the folks if they haven't heard?
It wasn't that interesting. We were in
I thought it was cool.
Around Oregon. We were in Portland for a few days, and then we went to Bend, Oregon, and then we stopped in Eugene, and I don't remember why, but we had a good time there.
Yeah, right on. Eugene's a town in, I don't know, maybe a couple hours south of Portland, Oregon, where every thrift shop you walk into, there's like a ton of tie-dye. It's hippie city. So good vegan food, good tie-dye, all that jazz.
I'm curious if Boulder, Colorado was somewhere that you would consider living.
Oh yeah, I think that's why I went. Was Colorado has amazing outdoor access, has good culture of people. It didn't really feel too different than Portland. So my only qualm with Colorado is the air is so dry in the winter. My lips are perpetually chapped. So but a worthy sacrifice for the area. So New York, I came to New York being like, yeah, I'd never live here. It's just cool to visit. And then I'm like, you know, New York's kind of nice. I don't know. So I think that's the beauty of just being open-minded about where you go and not having a ton of expectations.
Yeah.
What got me into travel, I can't remember. I don't think I mentioned this last podcast, was my family didn't travel much growing up, so this was not something that I grew up with or was already accustomed to. And in high school I just searched, and I recommend this to all parents, I just searched free trips for high school students, and there's a ton of scholarships that you can get to do that, so that gave me a few opportunities to be out and about.
Was that when you went to Ecuador, or was that another trip?
No, I went to, so there was United Nations thing that brought me to New York. That was the last time I ever saw the city, was way back in high school. New York and Philadelphia and Canada, and then U.S. Department of Education brought me to Samoa for a month to live there.
Yeah.
Whoa, you went to Samoa.
Yeah, and I was in New Zealand for 8 hours, and I ran out of the airport to explore New Zealand. It was the coolest
counts.
thing. Yeah, I was like, I've been there.
So cool.
Yeah, I got some gelato.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I think there's something special about going somewhere that's maybe a little less common. Everyone was like, "You're going where? Somalia?" I'm like, "Samoa." They're like, "The cookies." So yeah.
Oh, it's okay. I think it's still we good.
Perfect. Well, tell me a bit more about Samoa. I'm kind of curious. What was it?
We discussed this in episode 21, Hugh.
Oh, did we?
Oh, did we discuss Samoa? Oops,
that's
I
so
forgot.
bad.
Yeah, I'm glad you did your homework, John.
Oh no. Let's go on to something else.
Refer back to episode 21.
Next one. We'll refer to 21. My fault.
Yeah.
What was this next thing?
I think you can say the TLDR.
One of the highest food insecurities in the world, so fairly large obese population, and we find that the reason is because we send them U.S.'s rejected products, and they can't necessarily afford to keep their lush produce in Samoa. They ship it out to the U.S. So really blame the Americans, and that's about it.
I remember they wanted you to eat a lot.
Yep, I learned the phrase "maona whawhatai." That's the only phrase I remember, which means I'm full. Thank you. Yeah. They're very generous.
Yeah. What are some international trips
Some trips that I would like to do, Costa Rica will take a week to do a surf camp down there, which is pretty rad.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I just tried surfing for the first time. I basically, John and some of his friends, they all seem to know how to surf, and then his girlfriend Leisha convinced me to go by saying, I don't even know if I can swim. Because I was like, I don't know if you want me there. I really have no idea. I've never even done anything that requires balance athletically, so I don't know if I could surf. But I think she and I will be in the same boat. Or water.
I'm somewhere in between beginner and intermediate.
Okay, solid. Wow, thanks for taking a step down and taking a beginner class with us.
I mean, I'll probably embarrass myself. I just went. The last time I went was another surf retreat, and I haven't done anything since then. So.
So there you go.
Yeah, we'll see. Hugh was the college swimmer, so.
I can't surf.
I
tried to surf once. I got the big boards. I couldn't get up.
Wow.
It was hard. Wow? No, not wow.
Wow, you couldn't get up, man. Yeah, We Fit back in the day did have qualms with my balance. You know how We Fit will tell you how whatever you are, and We Fit was you don't have shit for balance. So TBD.
And what are some are there any bucket list things that you're trying to do while your final few days in New York or weeks?
Right? Yeah.
And maybe you should suggest to Hugh.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you have to distill it down into a 2.5 day, 3-day trip.
Yeah. Well, I think have you been to New York before then?
I went once for like 2 evenings in college.
2 evenings, wow.
And we saw Chicago.
We're all
That's when
in.
JT and I, we both flew out here for like interviews for college, but we didn't get
I think
anything.
Chicago's still on Broadway, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Not the same actors, but...
What were the interviews for?
I was when I was in media studies, so I was interviewing for the NBC Page program, but didn't get it.
Good for
And
you for trying.
Right?
JT as well.
No, I don't remember what JT went for, but that was that. That's when I first had halal guys. Really good. And then the only time before that was like I came as a kid about a month or 2 months before 9/11.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so I was like in June, July. Well, so a few more months than 1 or 2 months, but June, July of 2001. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, my half-sisters were there during 9/11. My family is New Yorkers.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of funny how little exposure I've had to the city, I think. So my dad's from New York, my mom's from Tennessee, so she always called him a Yankee. But yeah, I would say recommendations, I mean, it kind of depends on what you like, but I did do the Roosevelt Island tram the other day, and I'm really surprised that's not like a bigger thing that people do. I thought it was a pretty cool area. There's
You city bike there too, right?
Yeah, the city bike was like a big part of the fun, I think. And it's funny because I was reading tips about New York, and everyone was like, don't ride your bike in New York. And I think what they were trying to do is tell tourists if they can't confidently ride their bike, then don't bother with like city streets, you know? But yeah, that's been a fun part of New York is if you can, it's about the same amount of time as the subway for the most part, so.
Yeah, city bike is one of my favorite things about New York. City bike is just a system where you can like, there are a bunch of bikes parked places, and then you can like take one and take it to somewhere else where it's parked, and there are like I think it was like 1,700 city bike stations.
That's
so you can
incredible.
like
Yeah.
take it wherever.
Oh my gosh. Is that what the gentlemen and people on the blue bikes were?
Yeah.
There it is. That's cool.
And there's a station that's like right in front of where you got off the train.
Yeah.
So it's like half a block away.
All right.
I think one thing that's interesting about New York that I have not really taken advantage of, and I get the feeling like John's not this type of person either, is that both New York and LA, I have friends, and they come across famous people all the time. So my older sister was in New York, and she saw Ashley Tisdale and wanted to like chase her down, and her New Yorker friend was like, oh no. And so I think there's like a lot of, like, if you're paying attention, there's a lot of cool people you can come across. Have you met any famous people before? Come across any?
No,
Wow.
I actually haven't.
I don't think I have. Have you?
I think it's likely that I have, but I just don't know these people.
Yeah. Like when we were in LA, the person we were having dinner with pointed out apparently some celebrity across from us, and both John and I were like, we don't know who that is. The only celebrity I've really encountered is Eric Whitacre, who's like, you know, big in the music composing world, and so he came to conduct my high school choir because like his niece or something was involved with the school. And
That's kind of cool.
We were all freaking out over Eric Whitacre because he's like a big deal, and we were all singing for him, and I sneezed, and he said, bless you, and so I was blessed by Eric Whitacre, and that was my only claim to fame in that choir group.
That's a great story. Yeah, I actually don't care about celebrities because like I don't watch that many movies. I don't watch that much TV, and yeah, I guess once in a while like I'll watch a lot of YouTube videos, and they're like YouTube videos of people that live in New York and they like vlog their lives.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing them once, and I was biking and I was just like, oh cool, and I was like, I don't care, like I'm just gonna continue with my life, like.
I think probably like most celebrities would prefer that anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, like I won't care 99% of the time.
Oh, that's another story. I had a situation where, do you know, either of you know country music at all?
Zach Brown Band, let's go.
That I don't partake, but my older sister is a country music fan, and so she dragged me to a Tim McGraw concert. And apparently he's like super big in country, and I'm like, I definitely know that name. And they, so I went, we were sitting like way back in the concert, and I'm like, that's chill. I'm just gonna like sit in the grass and just enjoy whatever's going on. And I went to go get some concessions, and I got tapped on the shoulder, and this like massive guy was behind me, and he was like, hey, you've just won front row tickets to this concert. I give them out, once every show. And, I gave them the John reaction to, a celebrity sighting or situation. He expected me to be like, oh my God, no way, like, I'm gonna cry. But I was just kind of like, oh, thanks. I was like not really sure if I wanted to be a friend.
Like, is it crowded there?
No, because it was a massive venue, and so we were like passing rows and rows of people, and then we finally make it to the front, and then I have these pictures I've never posted online because I don't care about Tim McGraw, of him like reaching over me into the audience, and I'm like, I know none of these songs. It's all about like beer and whiskey and tractors and I don't know, whatever. No, his voice was great and the performance was great, but I was really out of my element. And then we got to meet Chase Bryant, whoever that is. So I have pictures of Chase Bryant that I've never posted before. So that's the only other celebrity interaction that I've had that I really was not worthy or qualified to be there.
I remember I was going to a Jimmy Kimmel taping.
Ooh, that's cool.
And behind me there were these like college age girls, and they were like, yesterday we went to this party and we heard Leonardo DiCaprio like went to the same venue later that night. And they're very much like came to LA to live this fantasy of like hanging out with celebrities. And I remember just being like, wow, you guys have a very different priorities than I do.
Yeah.
It was also recently the case where I was just like, I don't want to stay out after 11 p.m.
So many realizations.
Yeah. Although we did stay until midnight the other time.
I
And
know.
I'm sorry, I got carried away.
Oh, it was a good time. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like my life motto now is to show up to the thing on time, and then I leave at 11. And if you have a concert that starts after midnight, like, I'm definitely not going.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's very weird to me. I'm like, why do people go to this concert where they like show up fashionably late at 3 a.m. and then people are just dancing until like 5 a.m. and I'm just like, I want to sleep and go on a bike ride in the morning.
Yeah. Well, and I always thought it was like an I'm too old for this shit scenario, but I think, there are people that are our age that, they're like, all right, I got to wait until midnight until I go out. And it's like, oh, snap. All right.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a skill.
Hugh, you've been partying a lot, right?
Every day. I don't stop. You said about the midnight thing. The only time I ever had that type of experience, like, oh, it's ready, was when I was, what was it? It was like 2014. I was in Barcelona. I was in a hostel. I had just come in. I was super tired, so I took a nap and I said, I'm just going to sleep. It was like 7. So then I woke up around 11, I think, p.m. And I got up and I was like, oh, I screwed that up. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I didn't even know what to expect. I just went downstairs. And then it turns out they were just starting dinner, and they had just made like a hostel paella.
Oh.
And so I had dinner, and then we all just went out, and then like made some friends, and then we went out to some bar, and then had this really great sangria 4-way pour, and just chilled. And then some gentlemen I remember on the side of the road were like, "Hey, do you want to buy some warm beer?" Basically, like, "Do you want to buy drugs?" Like, "Oh, no, I'm good, thank you." It was cool. It was a cool night.
Oh, okay. We definitely need to talk more about some of your hostel experiences. Were you out pretty late then?
Yeah, that one we went out pretty late. Just kind of ended up at the beach randomly and just chilling out there, and then went home and
See, I had an experience, I guess it was not too, a year or two after you. I went to which country? I think it was Budapest, and made some new friends, and we went out, hit the town, and then we met some guys, and they were like, hey, what if we stay out all night? And I just, like, looked them in the eyes and was like, that's my cue. I'm going home. I'm not made for this. So I think I had kind of the opposite experience as you, where I was in that circumstance, and I was like, it's like...
In the US, the bars close at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
In the UK, they close at 5 a.m.
Whew.
Even in New York, the bars close at 2 a.m.?
I admit I have not been out late enough to test it out, but I think it's 2 a.m. And then in Berlin, they open in Friday and they close on Monday afternoon.
No way.
So there was a time when I was studying abroad in the UK and I was staying out late. I went to Berlin, and then around 4 a.m. I was like, I'm tired, I'm going home. And then the people that were there were like, already? Like,
wow.
we're just getting started.
Yeah, they got a better stamina over there.
And yeah, I admire like the desire for partying that much. There are people that will like go to, like, there's like a couch in the nightclub, and they'll like take a bunch of drugs, like sleep on the couch, like dance, like take another nap.
What? That's
yeah,
amazing.
that's intense.
All right.
Study abroad is totally the time for that,
Yeah.
I was kind of a square. I didn't drink before it was legal, but I then studied abroad when I was 20, and it was legal there, and I went out with some friends, going out on the town. I was like, oh my gosh, so excited. And there was a girl that was like, oh, here, let me escort you to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, it's fine, I'm not that drunk. And she actually went in to go do drugs, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is way too crazy for my first time out, and all like that. But it was a good time.
Now you're a seasoned drug user.
I was about to say, I did not do the drugs, so gotta keep my reputation clean. Yeah.
I think we're close to time, but Heather, do you have any words of wisdom, any parting thoughts? Also, my neighbor is like peeking through her window. She must be very confused.
Oh my god, she really is. Whoa, that was like a creeper peek a little bit. I love that. They're probably wondering like which celebrity you're interviewing right now, one of those New York.
Oh yeah.
Don't do drugs. No, I would say that the advice is, let's bring it full circle, right? So we started talking about Broadway and Bryant Park. I think, so I know a few folks, John included, who have taken an improv class in the past, and I think finding yourself in front of a live, large audience where any potential slip up, I know, like, I've been in situations where, like, co-actors have, forgotten their lines or totally missed a cue, and you have to sing a whole song that was a duet by yourself or something like that. When you find yourself in situations where, you have to rely on your knowledge and understand that things can go awry in front of a lot of people, I think that's like such a good life experience. So I think the kind of takeaway for that is, find yourself outside of your comfort zone. And that can be travel, that can be, theater, but wherever you can find yourself on the spot. So if you're, if John's been trying to convince you to be on the podcast, don't wait until you're ready. Just go ahead and do it, and, the audience can judge you. That's okay. That's part of the process.
The audience can let the audience decide that you're not ready for the podcast.
Yeah, this audience was like, they shared a story from episode 21, man, we already flubbed it. So yeah, this has been really enjoyable. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, and I feel like your words of wisdom answer was so good.
I'm glad that we could have some sort of insight from today.
Gosh. Time's flown. I can't believe we're already at the end of another episode.
I know.
It's actually crazy. Super awesome to have you on for the second time, Heather.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was super fun.
I guess, do you have any things you want to give a shout out to, advertise for?
Oh.
Possibly at the end we can add in the show notes below before we close out.
Wow, find me on Instagram. It's a private personal account. I'll let you follow me. Mcnutt-Kaestner. If you can spell it, then you're able to be in.
Not the Fiverr account, the resume thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, I already shouted that out.
Do it again, honestly, never stop. Here it is.
I don't want clients, I want employees. So if you're interested in writing resumes, you've got an attention for detail, then hit me up on Fiverr. My account is Heather MK Resume on Fiverr.
And what does it do? What's it about? What's this?
Yeah.
If there's a new listener, what do they?
Oh, right. Yeah. So new listener. So this is I write resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn's. I provide career advice I've dominated 10% of the world. So that just means how many countries, people from different areas of the world I've gotten to see their resumes for. So
wow.
maybe you're not a writer, maybe you're not a resume writer, but you're nosy. We can still talk about that. It's kind of cool to see different people and their career journeys in totally different fields, totally different walks of life.
Amazing. All right, you heard it here. Reach
Heather
out.
MK Resume and H Mcnutty on Instagram.
Done. I love it. All right, everybody. Well, that brings us to a close of another episode of the Moon Tea Podcast, a podcast where we talk about craft, community, and building meaningful careers. Thank you so much for tuning in this time. If you ever have any friends, guests, or random people you meet in Central Park that you're biking around that would be interested in coming on the podcast, please reach out to us at moonteapodcast@gmail.com. With that, stay classy, stay kind, and keep being amazing. See you next time. Peace.